The number of Coloradans who have had to leave home due to a wildfire rises weekly. That takes a hidden toll. Students want school leaders to know just what their decisions mean.
It's a hard thing to lose when that's like what keeps you going in life.
An indicted candidate for statewide office is now directing donations to Wisconsin as she faces an ethics investigation in Colorado. America's toughest prison says it can keep operating even if a city collapses around it. And plans for a sweet prom at Mile High get shifted by the fire. Poor kids, their prom's headed for the basement. All that is next. About 100,000 Coloradans have been forced to evacuate their homes due to wildfire since 2020. That is our rough and conservative estimate of the number. You had 1,900 more over the weekend in Boulder. Additional evacuations still holding near Estes Park tonight. The growing number of fire evacuees each year, even if their homes survive, they carry a burden. Here's Katie Eastman.
People know what fire does, but not everyone knows what it feels like to see smoke and wonder, will it happen again?
Our community's collective nervous system now is on high alert.
Just as thousands of people resettle after the Marshall Fire took their homes, another fire flared up less than 10 miles away. With the smoke, Dr. Janine Dianabal with Mental Health Partners says post-traumatic stress comes too.
The NCAR fire undoubtedly has triggered a lot of the trauma response right from the Marshall Fire.
Part of the intrusive thoughts, the hypervigilance, are healthy. If you didn't have that, you wouldn't be processing it.
Dr. Kanoy Mandel also sees the need for coping with trauma, and not just in his psychiatry office at UC Health. His family of 6 lost their home in the Marshall Fire.
I mean, if I literally saw our pilot light on in our fireplace, it like a mix of like make me angry / make me sad.
But Dr. Mandel recognizes he has some control, and he is surrounded by people he loves. He worries about kids who can't see that.
For adults, we just have much more of a historical fabric. We have much more choice about where we want to be and live and stay.
Compounded with the pandemic, Dr. Mandel says kids who experience fire trauma could wonder if they'll ever feel safe again. He hopes communities talk with kids about things like fire mitigation and water cycles, and remember the parts of Colorado we love.
Want a car filled with gas or electricity and emergency bag, pet options, and ready to roll. But on the other hand, you want to jump on your trampoline and eat your popsicles, you know?
Focus on what you can control and focus on the good parts of life.
Serenity prayer. It's a good motto.
Those feelings of fear will come, but they don't have to stay. Mental Health Partners, which serves Boulder and Broomfield counties, says unlike the King Soopers tragedy, they have not been overwhelmed by people who experienced the Marshall Fire. But Dr. Dianabal says that's likely because with the fire, people needed to address basic needs like finding shelter before they could cope with that emotional trauma. That's why, Kyle, she expects people to start seeking help now and into the summer.
And some people may just need that prompt, Katie, to start sharing, to know that it's okay if this is heavy on you, you can talk about it.
Yeah, and in Dr. Mandel's family, him and his wife are both psychiatrists. They don't really need that prompt, so he joked that therefore kids sometimes get annoyed because they force them to process their feelings and talk about things. Ultimately, he said his kids are doing okay, but they do still struggle with losing their cat in the fire and are worried about losing pets again, like so many others.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in the community that are carrying heavy stuff as a result of fires. All right, thank you, Katie. Well, Marshall Fire survivors now have the clearest picture yet of how the tens of millions of dollars raised to help them are going to be distributed. $2 million plus was raised by next viewers through your Word of Thanks campaign. The report from the Community Foundation Boulder County last night says $8.5 million has already gone out. And of the $30 million remaining, Community Foundation Boulder County says $20 million, vast majority, is going to be used to repay homeowners' rebuilding costs. I want to also provide you with an email address where people's specific personal questions can be answered privately. info@calmfound.org. info@calmfound.org. People impacted by the fire can write in with their specific questions about the funding available and should get an answer in 1 to 2 days. Doug Coast School Board will finalize its superintendent pick tonight with a very visible sign of the dysfunction in the district.
Director Ray has declined to show up.
Director David Ray, member of the board minority, did not come tonight, left his seat empty in protest of what he calls, quote, a series of unethical and unacceptable practices. The conservative Doug Coast School Board majority abruptly fired the former superintendent, Corey Wise, did so without cause. They had to pay him out. And the board president, Mike Peterson, admitted that he had actually contacted his pick to replace the superintendent before they did the firing. And sure enough, the board majority is bringing in charter school leader Aaron Kane as expected. A judge has ordered the school board majority to stop making decisions in secret and to follow Colorado open records law. In announcing that he wasn't going to come to tonight's meeting, Ray cited what he called a wrongful termination, a flawed selection process, and decisions and discussions that were made outside the public eye. At another school, another protest today. We told you how music students at Pomona High School are really upset about what's happened to a once proud powerhouse of a music program. Pomona's cutting its band teacher next year, citing dropping enrollment. Today, students walked out in protest of cuts to music and other arts programs. The students we talked to said they take issue with Jeff Coast School's leadership.
We're not angry about the individual school cuts, albeit that's a big part of what fueled this. We want the change at the district level.
I think it's important to continue the traditions we have at Pomona, and one of the biggest traditions we have is the theater and arts program. And if we lose it, it'd just be a big loss for the entire Pomona community.
Jeff Coast Schools responded today saying that the students who have signed up for instrumental or vocal music will still be able to take those classes from teachers that will be shared among multiple school buildings. Indicted Mesa County Clerk Tina Peters is shifting her legal defense fundraising out of state. Her initial legal defense fund is being investigated by the Colorado Independent Ethics Commission. And we learned today that one is no longer accepting donations. The original fundraising website is down, and a representative says that people can no longer donate there to defend Peters against local and federal investigations. She's facing felony charges for allegedly tampering with voting systems while she was searching for election rigging. Peters, who's a Republican candidate for Secretary of State, is now directing people to a legal defense fund in Wisconsin. It's run by my pillow guy and fellow election conspiracy theorist Mike Lindell. I spoke with Lindell today, who confirmed that he is funding Peters' legal defense through the fund and some of his own money, which could raise questions here about Colorado's gift ban for elected officials. When asked about specifics, Lindell told me, quote, "What kind of rotten reporter are you?" and hung up. The Supermax prison in Florence wants the public to know it's going to be cool even if the city of Florence collapses around it. Florence is not doing so hot as a government these days. Every member of city council resigned en masse last week protesting corruption. Prison officials now tell our partners at KRDO in the Springs that even if the city of Florence stopped providing water to Supermax, they have contingency plans to keep operating. I'm not certain that El Chapo follows local politics from his cell inside ADX Florence, but if El Chapo does, the city of Florence has been giving him lots of reading material. Even the governor's office has weighed in to make sure that Florence can continue functioning and paying its bills without anyone on council. Nobody there. Florence's former leaders claim that there is missing taxpayer money in the city. There's illegal wiretaps inside City Hall, they say, and allegations of sexual harassment against the former city manager. Last man standing at City Hall is Mayor Paul Villagrana. He resigned from council a few years back after he made sexually suggestive comments about the city clerk. If you're thinking creatively that maybe there are some folks inside Supermax with free time to serve on council, Colorado law prohibits somebody from serving a felony sentence from simultaneously holding public office. They started advocating for change when they were in 7th grade. Now they're seeing it happen. There's a trickle-down effect from last week's fire at Mile High. It's sending a special event down to the basement. And the Rockies are getting cool new jerseys for this season. Before they're unveiled, we have some terrible ideas. That's next. All of Colorado's vaccine providers are now allowed to give a second COVID-19 booster shot to people who are 50 and older. CDC and FDA are on board, so it just kind of happens like that now. Another booster is also open to anybody who got 2 shots of the J&J vaccine. Over the last 7 days, 3.1% of COVID tests in our state have come back positive. That number's been creeping up just a bit in March, but we are still safely under the 5% threshold where it's of concern to public health leaders.
Cloudy and cooler today with some beneficial rain. A lot of people happy about the water. We have a cooler but dry day tomorrow and a nice warming trend for the weekend. Temperatures today in the mid-50s. You recall yesterday we were 80. It's going to be a while before we get back in that territory. Big, broad center of circulation over Colorado, bringing rain, a little thunder, a little lightning to the front range, and snow to the high country. That's right. That snow will be picking up in earnest with the winter weather and travel advisory out for 4 to 8 inches of snow. Rain showers will move through tonight, mixing with snow briefly and then out of here by tomorrow morning. So I don't think that morning drive is going to be all that difficult for you. Chilly night, though, with that cold north wind, our low 28. Tomorrow's temperature at 48 with afternoon clearing, and then 61 Thursday and a chance of a few light showers on Friday.
The fire at Mile High last week is forcing a number of events at the stadium to kind of be moved around. It's a real bummer for the students at Brighton High School because their prom on Saturday, which was planned for one of those gorgeous suites at Mile High, is getting kicked down to the basement. Scott Bleak with the stadium management company says last week's fire has really forced them to shuffle their calendar for events. The fire on Thursday burned almost 200 third-level seats, and it also damaged 8 suites. Without those suites, the stadium folks are having to scramble to find space for all of the events that were previously booked. And they said that they don't have liquor licenses for every single event space in the stadium. Brighton's prom obviously doesn't need a liquor license, but another event did. So that means that that other event gets the upstairs space with the liquor license, and Brighton's prom goes down to the lower level. Stadium said they're going to upgrade the school's events package, give them a discount on it. The school district said they're going to scramble to try and pretty up the spot the best they can with decorations so they can make it special for the kids. Colorado Rockies are going to get a new on-field look this season. Rockies are among 7 Major League Baseball teams getting a new city-inspired uniform. Nike City Connect uniforms will be some kind of homage to the team's connection to the city and the fans. We don't know what the uniforms are going to look like yet. The design will be unveiled sometime before July. That said, we had some horrible ideas Nike could consider. This jersey design is called Mile High Goodbyes. It celebrates the Rockies' special tradition of letting star players leave to go play elsewhere. On the front there, you've got Nolan Arenado and the $50 million that the Rockies shipped with him to the Cardinals last year. It's kind of a bold design. On the back, you recognize all-star shortstop Trevor Story, who wanted to win baseball games, so he left to go play for the Red Sox. Another idea, if that's too provocative, this uniform design mock-up features in prominent bold text the names of all of the promising young stars that are currently in the Rockies farm system. I like that second one better. That one's my choice. If you're handy with the Photoshop and you'd like to design your own idea of a new Rockies jersey, we may feature it here on Next. You know what we're looking for. Email your ideas to next@9news.com. They've been calling for change in the way their school talks about race and culture. After years of hard work, progress.
It's important for us to keep that fight and keep that voice for other students as well.
The power of speaking up. Next. They want to feel represented, seen in class. Fair enough ask, right? A group of BIPOC students in the Boulder Valley School District have been working for change for years now. With a report on progress, here's Byron Reed.
I think we just wanted to show.
Ever since he was in the 7th grade,
it makes you feel more connected, I feel like.
Isaiah Williams has been getting a lesson in patience.
We had to just take deep breaths and just calm down and just keep going. We just had to keep going.
Williams is one of 5 juniors at Centaurus High School who wanted to make a change in the classroom when it comes to race and culture.
I think it's important for that BIPOC students can have a voice and feel represented and comfortable in their own schools.
As like BIPOC students, we didn't feel represented in the school, and we didn't really feel like we were learning about our own cultures and histories, which is not really the best feeling.
The group wants to create a new ethnic studies course at their high school. It's a goal that has the support of the Boulder Valley School District.
It's really going to be how the students want it to go for them, with some educational parameters, but they can design it.
Lynn Gershman is the Director of Academic Services for the district and is helping the students with the approval process.
We'll start with the Colorado State standards. We'll take a look at what standards we want to make sure that this course covers. And then we'll start talking about the final product. What does that look like at the end of the course? How do we want to show what we've learned?
She says it's her goal to have the class ready to launch the spring semester of next year, in time for this group to take the class before they graduate.
And they'll be the first group that takes it, tests the course out, and hopefully it'll be great, and we can keep going with it.
Almost like a really big family, if you will.
These students hope the course will be offered throughout the district for years to come.
Make everybody feel welcome there, and they can share their voices.
So other students like Isaiah can learn the benefits of speaking up.
We've been working on this for so long, and now it's finally here. Makes me feel good.
For Next,
makes me feel like people are finally listening to us.
I'm Byron Reed.
Students came up with the idea while working with CU's School of Education's branch on public achievement. It's a group that encourages youth-led civic engagement. I'd say it works. It's a sign of some environmental mixed messaging. A rolling half-ton piece of irony spotted in Castle Rock. That and your feedback next. It's a sign that there's a driver in Colorado torn between saving the environment and having a vehicle the size of a tank. James flagged us to a rolling bit of irony in Castle Rock a few days ago. That would be a Hummer rocking one of the state's special Colorado Carbon Fund plates. If this is supposed to be a joke, it's an expensive one, because to get one of those Carbon Fund plates, you have to make a tax-deductible donation of at least 50% of your total calculated emissions. So the bigger the gas guzzler, the bigger the donation to the state fund to get the plate. In this case, a Hummer H2 gets about 11 miles to the gallon. So let's say on average they drive about 15,000 miles a year. That plate costs more than $200 plus special plate and renewal fees. It's quite the statement. Feedback tonight from T.O. James, who says, do you think that your extensive reporting on fire evacuations has the unintended consequence of pressuring officials to increase the evacuation areas to avoid public scrutiny? Uncle James, I think that they expand on the evacuation areas to be safe and to save lives. I would think that public scrutiny in our reporting is way down on the list. I mean, I think we and they want to err on the side of going too big rather than too small. But as we've talked about, at the end of the day, you want it to be as tailored as possible while still being effective, because you want people to take those alerts seriously. Drew says, can we please get a school board that's apolitical, focused on our children, not the agenda of the left or the right? Your community gets the elected officials that you vote for. Then we report on what they do. Then you vote again. It's a cycle. See you next time.